Paramount has been in the news a lot for some good stuff because they've been putting out some really good movies, but also for some unfortunate stuff. They are, as everybody understands, struggling. And right now they're trying to figure out a sale. You know, you've got Skydance is trying to buy them. They're in a 30-day exclusive negotiating window with them right now. But you also have an alliance of Apollo and Sony trying to buy them too. But we've also heard rumblings of infighting going on over at Paramount, including maybe the CEO being in some hot water. Well, a new report is claiming that the CEO, Bob Bakish, isn't just in hot water. He may actually resign today. This is coming us from the folks over at IndieWire who wrote the following. Bob Bakish is expected to resign as Paramount Global CEO amid merger talks heating up with Skydance, IndieWire has learned, and according to multiple media sources. It's expected that Bakish, who has been with the company since 1997, that's a long stint at a company, could step down as early as Monday, which would be ahead of the company's earning calls on Monday afternoon. He was named CEO back in 2019, back when the company was called Viacom CBS. Reps for Paramount and Global Decline comment. It is a shocking move that comes just as Skydance is closing in on its acquisition of Sherry Redstone's National Amusements, which may or may not happen, by the way. We'll get into that in a second. The theater company that holds 77% of the controlling shares of Paramount Global. Now, Bakish's recent tenure has been marred by not pursuing a potential $3 billion sale of Showtime. The legacy networks such as CBS, MTV, VH1, BET, and Nickelodeon have continued to suffer in declining market for linear TV. Its credit rating was reduced to junk, and Paramount Plus remains far from profitability, with some analysts wondering if Paramount would have been better off not entering streaming and instead becoming a quote-unquote arms dealer. By the way, that's a phrase I quoted about the streaming wars for Sony. Anyway, licensing its content to other streamers. In 2019, Paramount market value was $25.3 billion, but is now just $8.4 billion. In 2019, Paramount's market value was $25.3 billion and is now just $8.4 billion. Now, a lot of people inside Paramount are upset with Bakish, who may have been right and may have been wrong. I don't know, but they're upset that many times in the last number of years, there have been opportunities for Bakish to divest Paramount of some of their not so profitable assets. This is from the Wall Street Journal that writes, on Labor Day weekend in 2020, former Showtime executive Mark Greenberg called Bakish, who was driving home to Connecticut, and offered a deal that would leave Paramount with $3 billion in cash and a 25% remaining stake in the channel. This is just for Showtime, offering $3 billion for Showtime, and they still get to keep some of the owning interest. Bakish declined, saying he had received larger offers in the past. I don't know that he did. A few months later, in March of 2021, Greenberg and investment giant Blackstone offered $5.5 to $6 billion in cash for Showtime. According to people familiar with the terms, under the proposed deal, former Disney executives would have joined the board. Then Paramount's top brass didn't pursue the offer. A few years later, another offer for Showtime came in, a more than $3 billion bid from David Nevins, the former head of the channel. Bakish turned the offer down. And this, along with, some of the negotiations that Paramount feels that he's talking to the wrong people. Some people at Paramount feel that Bakish is talking to the wrong people, not really entertaining the best deal for everybody. So right now, just put everybody, up on the same page. Paramount they're about halfway through now, I think, a 30-day exclusive negotiating window with Skydance for an offer that stands at around $3 billion plus $3 billion in cash and all this kind of stuff. There are a number of people at Paramount who don't want that sale going to Skydance. Some want to entertain an Apollo Sony offers that could or could not be coming, depending. So in the midst of all this, they're talking about Rob, the CEO, stepping down. Now, listen, I got to say, for a number of years, I've been really kind of impressed with Paramount as far as their content offerings. They've done a great job with their movies. Hell, even like everything, Ray, from, Top Gun, but also like little big winners like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so they just continue to surprise. Smile. Wow. They continue to surprise and delight. But It's about more than that. And they're a big conglomerate company.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. You know, guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin, to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set.
Rob, you've been hearing about all this kind of stuff. You're reading the reports. What do you think about the possibility that Bakish may actually have to resign, maybe even today? Maybe you will, maybe you won't. What do you make of all this?
Well, look, again, I'm no expert on, I don't know how, Paramount has all these different things under its umbrella, like BET, like Nickelodeon, like all Showtime, all this stuff. And I don't know how that affects their bottom line, because I've mostly concentrated on Paramount, obviously on the Star Trek side, the TV streaming side, like Yellowstone, and then their feature films. And they were doing quite well. Like everything they were putting out was successful. I think that they jumped into streaming prematurely. I thought, John, like they were going to have some kind of an alliance with Netflix, because Eddie Murphy and the Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Cop AF, is a Netflix movie. And then they had done Dolomite Is My Name. And I really thought...
Love that movie.
I did too. It was great. Never mind. I won't get into my Rudy Ray Moore. But I thought that, like you said, what do they say that you quoted, the weapons manufacturer aspect?
Yeah, the arms dealer.
I thought an arms dealer race, because and Sony they didn't start a streaming service, and they've kept their options open to make films that can be put out elsewhere. But to team up with Netflix, I thought was a really great idea, where they could have a conduit. They could release theatrically and have a direct conduit to Netflix. Mm-hmm. I thought that's what they should do, rather than, everybody drank this streaming Kool-Aid, and they fell off a cliff of money being spent. And I think that Paramount, they were making deals. Yellowstone, the Sheridan-verse, they had Sheridan-verse deals over here and over there. It wasn't necessarily exclusive to Paramount. You remember that? What was going on with Yellowstone?
You had to go to one network to watch Yellowstone some seasons, then you had to go to another network to watch one of the prequels.
Was true of Star Trek. They finally brought Star Trek all over under one roof, and then they're like, well, no, we have to now license it out back to other people. And it's like, what are you guys doing?
No, they need to make it like a Hulu tab like Disney Plus did. I understand Disney owns Hulu, but they need to do that, pair up with somebody, and then there's your Paramount Plus tab to go in, through Amazon or Netflix or whatever.
And Skydance, look, the reason that I think Skydance, that I'm a fan of it, is it keeps Paramount autonomous as a studio, as a content provider. And Skydance has basically been financing Paramount's slate of films. They finance Top Gun, they finance Star Trek, they finance Mission Impossible, they finance Jack Ryan. So, all those, Skydance has been their de facto bank. So to allow, and you've got David Ellison, who loves movie making, the son of Oracle's Larry Ellison. Megan Ellison, his sister, has Annapurna. It's kind of like old school moguling back now. But I think that David Ellison and Skydance is a perfect group to own Paramount, because I think they love films over there. They want to make good movies and keep that Paramount legacy alive rather than part it out.
See, one of the things that why I understand, like, again, I have been a big advocate of the whole idea about a studio being an arms dealer. And that's what Sony basically did. Like, I remember at CinemaCon 1 or 2 years ago when they proclaimed from the stage, we're not getting into streaming.
Right.
We're going to do what we do best. We're going to create content. The reason I can kind of understand why Paramount decided to explore streaming with Paramount Plus was that they're not just a movie studio, right? Like they've got CBS, they had Showtime, they had Nickelodeon, like
MTV.
MTV. They had a lot of places that they could mine content from for a streaming service, plus some big IPs you can try to build on the backs of, whether it's Yellowstone, Star Trek, whatever. But at the same time, you've pointed this out before, Rob, is that when they were one of the later comers into the game. And because Disney had already had its foothold, Netflix is firmly entrenched, HBO Max has legacy. I mean, it was going to be a difficult thing. And they were coming in about the same time that Universal, who has way more money and way more capital, was coming in with Peacock. I mean, it might be time for them just to look at, we've been hearing analysts for months saying Paramount should just shut Paramount Plus down. And while I hate that, I do like your idea about, you know what, just become a major partner with maybe not even Netflix, maybe like become a partner of Universal. And because like Universal needs more content for Peacock. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Another thing Paramount's doing, John, is they've licensed out a lot of their movies to other smaller companies.
Yep.
And at the same time, they'll put out banger 40th anniversary or 20th anniversary releases of Team America and a 25th anniversary of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And yet they release what were big, huge movies for them in the past. They're licensing them out to other companies where they're not getting, I mean, they're getting the licensing fee, I guess, but they could have they could be doing all kinds of things with their legacy library, and they're not.
Look, all I know is that I am a fan of Paramount.
Me too.
And I hope whatever happens is going to be for the best of the company. And hopefully they're going to be able to continue to make great content. And I know Ray doesn't want them to go under because he wants Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
And Beavis and Butthead. That's where I watch Beavis and Butthead.
That's where
I'm sorry.
They're on SNL.
I still watch it.
And isn't that where South Park is now?
Yep.
Isn't South Park over there? Anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think of this? Apparently, we might be finding out any minute now that the CEO of Paramount's going to have to step down, and maybe this deal with Skydance goes through. Maybe the window closes and they start negotiating with Sony. I don't know. Whatever you guys think here, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.